The Democratic Congressman Suhas Subramanyam is here in studio. You have the distinction of representing Virginia's 10th District and being our first lawmaker guest here on Sunrise on the Hill.
I'm so excited.
Thanks for being here.
It's
great to see you. So, look, the House on recess later today. Speaker Johnson making that decision to avoid what he calls sort of shenanigans. A lot of folks saying he has to sort of quell this House rebellion. We know Ghislaine Maxwell has said she is willing to testify after she was subpoenaed. You were one of the first to say you got to release these Epstein files. Is this progress?
Yeah, I wrote a letter to the AG about 2 months ago. I never got a response. Now this is becoming a bigger issue, and it's becoming an inconvenient issue for Republicans on the Hill because it's dividing them. And so that's why they want to go to vacation early, is because they want to make sure they don't have this conversation and they can kick the can down the road. And in the meantime, the president is trying to distract people by saying, you know, Barack Obama is a traitor and he's going to, do all these things. And so I think the distractions and trying to recess early is just a sign that they're uncomfortable right now.
Why do Democrats want this stuff released? Is it simply because you think there may be something in there that shows the president did something illegal or morally repugnant?
Yeah, at first to me it was about transparency and about trying to see, what's going on. And then seeing the president's reaction to all these things, including the Wall Street Journal article about his love letter to Epstein, I think shows that maybe there's a lot of fire where there's smoke. And so what I want is to see exactly how Donald Trump was involved with Epstein, whether he was complicit, what his involvement was with Ghislaine Maxwell. And I'd like to know what's in the files at this point, what role the president was playing in those files and in the whole situation.
So let's talk about the possibility of a government shutdown. Of course, it was averted earlier this year. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer did not have the stomach for it. But since then, Democrats have been wildly unhappy with this rescissions package. They really don't like spending cuts and some of the spending priorities. So there are a couple of questions. One is, how do you feel about a shutdown? And the other is that form of protest worth it when your constituents, federal workers, could be hit again?
Look, I don't like government shutdowns. I don't want one. But at the same time, my constituents are telling me that they're already shutting down the government. They've either gotten riffed, laid off, or they have Doge walking up and down the hallways of their agencies looking for reasons to fire them. And so it's a really bad situation right now. And this is the only piece of leverage that we as Democrats really have to be able to fight back and protest. And so I'd like to see what's happened in past Congresses, which is we use our leverage and then we get a bipartisan deal as a result. And I would like to see less of us giving up all our leverage because we're afraid.
I want to ask you something because your district's an interesting district. For people who don't know, it's the 10th District of Virginia, so you have only a teeny piece of Fairfax County, a lot of northern Prince William, all of Fauquier, all of Rappahannock, and Loudoun. So you represent two wildly red districts, and the rest are kind of blue. Is it difficult for you to represent them fully in Congress?
No, I try to be someone who represents everyone, who gives everyone a voice. Even if a Republican reaches out to me, I'm going to make sure that they're heard. And even if we don't agree, that's okay. We'll still have the conversation. And so I don't think it's hard. I think what's hard right now is every part of my district, whether it's rural, whether it's suburban, whether it's federal workers or not, is being hurt by this administration's policies. And so, take rural hospitals, for instance. We're really worried now. Rappahannock, you have to drive a long way to get to a hospital for certain procedures. And so people there are concerned right now, Democrat and Republican. And you're starting to see, I think you're going to see this November in the Virginia governor's race, that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to show up to the polls angry at this administration.
So do you think the Democrats are going to hold their nerve here, not give Johnson the votes he needs to avert the shutdown? I mean, I know you're an independent thinker, but we know Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer met yesterday to discuss sort of some strategy. What's the plan?
I don't even know they met. I know I'm not going to give them what they want. I'm going to use all the leverage that I have. If our caucus decides to unite like we did last time, I think it would make a lot of sense to do that. I would suggest that Chuck Schumer do the same and keep the Democrats in the Senate united, but we'll see what happens.
Right. Okay, let's talk about immigration, another hot-button topic across the country. What's been the impact in your district of these ICE raids, deporting folks, some with criminal history, some not? What are you seeing on the ground?
I actually visited several Spanish-speaking services and churches, and one of the things that I heard was, whether it was a Democrat or Republican, someone who voted for Trump or not, People are really, really concerned and afraid right now of these ICE raids. There's a lot of concern about the fact that you can be doing whatever, just minding your own business, and then ICE could just show up to your workplace and take you away or take your family member away. And so I think right now that's the biggest concern that I'm hearing on the ground.
Do those concerns outweigh safety, getting folks who have criminal history out of the country?
I mean, we can do that and also make sure that we have a comprehensive immigration reform and a system that actually works. Right now, part of the problem is that we have a broken immigration system. And so there's a pendulum swinging back and forth on how we address undocumented folks. I'd like to see a path to citizenship for many. And if there's not citizenship for them, if they have a criminal history, we can deal with that and assess, case by case whether they should be deported or not.
Do you think there is growing political appetite to address this immigration issue differently after all of the raids and public sentiment not being great when they see folks being shipped off?
I think there's public appetite in the general public and by Americans, but I think in Congress there's less appetite because Republicans think that they're winning on this issue, and we as Democrats think that we need more common sense solutions. So there's less agreement than ever, I think, on the Hill. I think the general public, though, is fed up with this and has been for a while.
So it appears the Republicans have maybe given a little ground here. You have the Dignity Act that's being proposed. We know immigration is going to be a big topic during the midterms, which the Democrats desperately want to win. You've got no power in Congress right now. How do you do it? How do you win back some of the voters who left the party in 2024 and maybe some of those new voters who may be voting for the first time?
It's very simple. I mean, they passed this big, ugly bill that has a lot of bad stuff in it. It cuts the health care, some of the immigration stuff you're talking about. It cuts the clean energy. That means a lot of jobs lost. And so all the stuff that's in there, we just have to explain to people what's in there, right? A lot of people don't actually know about the bill. That's why, we do a lot of creative social media on our team is to try to reach voters that don't pay attention to the Hill, not your viewers, right? Your viewers are very well informed. Oh, yeah. But instead we're trying to reach new people to let them know that, are you suffering right now? Are you having trouble getting food assistance? Well, part of it is because of this bill that passed in Congress. And so explaining that and then also having a positive vision for the future. We can't just be all anti-Trump.
I've got to ask you, though, because clearly Democrats have a problem. Democrats don't like Democrats. They think that there's no good messaging, right? They think the party is lost. They're hungry for change. Look at Zohran Mamdani, and people are like, yes, look at his charisma. We want him. Does the party lead from the middle and hope that momentum will just pull in enough people from each side to get it where it needs to be? Or does the party need to be blown up? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think right now what we need to look at is the elections in Virginia this November to see a great candidate. Abigail Spanberger is running for governor, and she has both the charisma of someone like Mamdani, but also a really good ear to the ground and what people want because has that lived experience. And so if we have more candidates like Spanberger and also in New Jersey we have a great candidate for governor. I think that's the future of the party there is people who both have the pragmatism and the ear to the ground on what voters want and need, as well as are charismatic, really appeal to people and reach people who normally don't pay attention to politics.
So from the middle.
It could be both. It's not even about where you are on the scale. It's about your tactics and how you're reaching people.
All right, Congressman Subramanyam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.